Eze Ochioha of Akabuka. That title is an Igbo title, but you say you're not from Igbo.
No. The party chairman who will not to hear here. Ken Kwesiriku, who will not go. Maya de Heng, but when you see Jaman, they are very important. All I think one must say, one or two things. Ndem na ndem we here. Ihe chọrọ ime onu asọ ihe dum chairman kwuru. Unu were ndekọ dị mma ndekọ unu chọrọ ịnụ. Ndekọ anyị na-achọghị ịnụ unu tụfuo ya.
Ana akwụkwọ dị aka ebe a.
Ugbu a godo butere ni. Biko UIC chairman or president, okay? On a rundown, here transfer between.
As usual, you can see the people in this venue laughing. They are laughing because they feel like what similar Fubara is saying is funny. But this moment is not just funny. It is deep, very, very deep. It showed the strange situation we have in Rivers State. Not just in Rivers State, but in some other states in the South, where people speak Igbo, bear Igbo names, hold Igbo titles, practice Igbo culture, but still say, I am not Igbo. One thing I like about Similar Fubara is the fact that he has never hidden his Igbo identity. He's always proud about it. He carries it with his full chest and he wears it everywhere he goes. Fubara is from Opobo, or you can say he's a riverine man and a Ijaw man, but he speaks Igbo fluently and he carries his Igbo identity anywhere he goes. But the people that bears close similarities to the Igbo people are the ones denying their Igbo heritage. The irony gets even bigger when you look at what happened in January 2025, when Senator John Azuta Mbata, an Ikwerre man from Rivers State, was elected as the President General of Ohaneze Ndị Igbo worldwide, the most important Igbo cultural organization in the world. Think about this. The president of the organization that represents over 100 million Igbo people worldwide is from a group that says they are not Igbo. But that's not all. When Senator Mbata was elected, the Obako Ikwerre cultural organization stripped him of all his chieftaincy titles and declared him a stranger in Ikwerre land. They said because he accepted being Igbo, he can no longer participate in any Ikwerre gatherings. Many of you may not be aware of this. Igbo people make up over 60% of Rivers State population. These include the Ikwerre, Eche, Asa, Ndoni, Ndoki, Egbema, Oba, Opobo, and Ekpeye communities. They are all historically and linguistically part of the greater Igbo nation. Let me break this down for you. In Rivers State, you have 23 local government areas. The core Igbo-speaking areas include Port Harcourt, Obiakpo, Emoha, Ikwerre, Ahoda, and Oba Egbema or Ndoni local government. These are not small areas. These are major population centers in Rivers State. Even Wikipedia lists Ikwerre, Ekpeye, and Oba as part of Igbo land alongside other well-known Igbo groups. When you look at their language, they are all linguistically the same. Let me give you for instance, the word for first son in Owerri and Umuahia is called Okpara. In Onitsha, it is called Okpala, and in Ikwerre, it is called Epara. Do you see how they are linguistically linked together? This is a clear evidence. If you and I speak the same language with small differences, we are the same people. Look at the names of Ikwerre people: Chibuike, Chinedu, Nnamdi, Eze, Ochi. These are all Igbo names. Even prominent politicians like Chibuike Amechi and Nyesom Wike have unmistakably Igbo names. Ikwerre people traditional food are Igbo, their marriage customs are Igbo, and their kings are called Eze, which is a distinctly Igbo title. Even their traditional religion and festivals are similar to other Igbo communities. Historical documents show that many prominent Ikwerre leaders openly identify as Igbo. The first Ikwerre poet Okobwile Wonodi, the first Ikwerre senator Dr. Obiwali, the first Ikwerre minister Chief Emmanuel Aguma. All of these men said they were Igbo. The bigger question now is why the denial. The denial of Igbo identity in Rivers State is not a little matter. It has deep roots in Nigerians' painful history. The political and social-cultural dynamics of the Niger Delta contributed to a deliberate distancing of the Ikwerre from their Igbo roots. This divergence was made worse during the Nigerian Biafra War, when the Nigerian government, in its strategy to isolate Biafra, sought to highlight and reinforce the separateness of ethnic groups. Before the war started, on May 27, 1967, General Yakubu Gowon announced the creation of 12 states, including Rivers State. This effectively broke up the eastern region into three parts: Rivers State, Southeastern State, and the East Central State. This state creation locked the Igbos into the East Central State and broke up the cultural unity of the old Eastern region. This was a strategic move. By creating Rivers State separate from the Igbo heartland, the federal government was telling the people, you are not Igbo, you are Rivers people. It was divide and rule at its finest. But here is something many people don't talk about. I know you might have heard about it, but it is not being talked about. After the Civil War, many Igbos who returned to Port Harcourt could not reclaim their houses because the land leases had expired after 7 years according to the Eastern Nigeria Lands Law. These lands were returned to Rivers State government, who sold them at very cheap prices to the Ikwerre and Okrika Ijaw ethnic groups. The abandoned property law stated that any property belonging to someone whose hometown was not in Rivers State, which was abandoned during the Civil War, could be taken over. This created a situation where some Ikwerre people benefited financially from denying their Igbo identity. If they admitted they were Igbo, they might have to give back properties they acquired cheaply after the war. That was how many Igbos lost their properties to Ikwerres and other Rivers State indigenes. But like you know, these same properties have all been bought back by the same Igbo people. Another reason for this denial is the fear of marginalization. The creation of Rivers State in 1967 stamped the division, with ethnic minorities, including the Ikwerre, being positioned as distinct from the larger Igbo group. Over time, local elites leveraged this distinction to consolidate political power. The fear of marginalization by the larger Igbo group has driven some Ikwerre leaders to emphasize their uniqueness, a narrative that was stamped since the creation of Rivers State. This historical trauma from the war has reinforced a desire for a distinct identity, even as cultural ties persist. Think about it, for example. If you are a politician in Rivers State and you identify as Igbo, some people will say you want to hand over Rivers to the Igbos. So to win election and gain power, you distance yourself from your true identity. Another factor that is causing this whole denial is the Aro factor. It's an internal Igbo problem. Let me give you a historical perspective to this. Senator Obiwali, whose own village name is Igbo, meaning Igbo children or Igbo descendants, told Professor Chidi Oswagu that his problem was not Igbo identity as such, but Aro Ikwerre domination. He explained that in his village council of deity priesthood, which had 7 stores, the small Aro population controlled 4 of them. Famous writer Elechi Amadi also said he had no problem with Igbo identity, but had a problem when the Aro Ikwerre plotted to kill him during the Nigeria-Biafra war. This shows that some of the identity denial is about internal Igbo politics, specifically resentment against the Aro people who were traders and had influence in many communities. Aside all of this, you need to understand that the identity question in Rivers State is being used for political gain till date. Some politicians weaponize identity for political advantage. The rejection of Igbo identity appears to stand at odds with collective acknowledgement, as seen in Senator Mbata's election as Ohaneze president. When Nyesom Wike says he is not Igbo and Chibike Amechi says he's Igbo, they are playing politics. Wike knows that identifying himself as Igbo will cost him votes and political support in Rivers State. But you need to understand that not all Ikwerre people deny their identity. Dr. Wale's son Ihunwo was one of the leaders of the Congress of the Liberation of Ikwerre People, and Ikwerre Back to Igbo Fold youth movement, whose mission is to win Ikwerre off Biafra war propaganda. Many young Ikwerre people are tired of the denial. They see it for what it is. It is politics and fear, not reality. Senator Azuta Mbata, the new Ohaneze president, said that Ikwerre people who deny their Igbo identity lack understanding, and he chose to ignore their attacks on him because he was interested in building bridges. He stated, "I see my responsibility as building bridges. We must connect our people to a much larger platform for development." I know some of you might say, why does it matter? Let them choose to be whoever they want to be. No, it matters. When people deny their history and culture for political reasons, it weakens the entire society. That is the reason why Nigeria is not united, because people are denying their identity. It shows how the civil war still haunts us. If people are still denying their identity, it shows that the effect of the civil war is still lingering among us to date. More than 50 years after the war ended, we are still dealing with its effect. People are still afraid to be who they are. It affects development. When people spend time fighting over identity instead of working together, everyone suffers. It set a dangerous example. If Ikwerre can deny their Igbo identity despite all the evidence, what stops other ethnic groups for doing the same? By publicly calling out the contradiction of bearing an Igbo title while denying Igbo identity, Governor Fubara demonstrated cultural awareness. The moment reflected the friendly rapport that can exist between political leaders and traditional rulers during public events. Some people see Governor Fubara's action as brave. He's an Igbo man from Opobo who is not afraid to say so, even though he is the governor of Rivers State. He is showing you that you can be proud of your Rivers State identity and your Igbo heritage at the same time. Kudos to him. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video.